We're starting so we'll learn through the Sahar is on the sugya of Machshichem al Tchum, the sugya of Nachash Hevi Chalilin and Shabbos, the Mishnah Kufin Aleph Amar Aleph. It says in the middle of the Mishnah, Nachash Hevi Chalilin Shabbos, a goy brings flutes on Shabbos. Lo Yisbo Behem Yisrael, Yisrael can't use it for Hespedim, for Levaya, and Imken Bo and Makom Karov, unless they came on Shabbos from a Makom Karov, which Lachora is going to be placed inside the Tchum. We're talking about Hilchos Tchum, so it was brought within the Tchum. Also, the arm of a Chafru boy, the Chafru Lekever, if the Goyim on Shabbos made an aron, made a casket, or they dug a kever, you cover by Yisrael. Then Yisrael can be nikvar in it because it was made for the sake of a goy. A goy just made it for himself. He's a businessman who makes kvarim or digs kvarim, just makes them ready, or it could be for anybody. In Pashas the Rov Goyim, made it for Goyim. Maybe Yisrael, lo yikaver bo olamis, but it was for the sake of Yisrael. Then there's a new Isra over here of olamis. We haven't yet had. So far, we've only had Isra of Bechtei Shiyasu. We've had things that are also and mutter on Shabbos, and then we've had the point of Bechtei Shiyasu. And there is a shita, and we mentioned before some time back, in if a Yisrael is Osa Malacha on Shabbos, then we had a shita of the Machlokes Tanaim, whether it's mutter bo b'yom, if it was shogeg, if it's mutter that day. Remeir Yehuda holds it's asur till after Shabbos, and Yochanan the Sandler holds that it's asur olamas. He holds it's an issur deraisa, which we're going to paskin that way. But here we're talking not about Yisrael she'asa, we're talking about goy she'asa. So far, Gabi Amir la'akum, this is the first time we're seeing anything about an issur la'olam, a new getter of an issur. So Rashi explains that what's the shorest of this issur. Nachash Hevi Chalilim b'Shabbos, Rashi says b'Shul Yisrael la Yispud b'hen Yisrael la'olam. Then you can't be maspid with them la'olam. So now Rashi is interjecting over here that the din of la'olam that was said by Kever and by Aaron, Rashi is interjecting that also by Chalilim, by the flutes. Rashi is learning that it's all one Mishnah, it's all one halach over here, and it just waited to the end, to the Seifa, to say lo yikaver bo olamis, but the din olamis, who a din gabi Chalilin. And Rashi explains that this is a knas, it's a special knas. Because it's muchach milsa that was brought for the sake of this mace. It's not the derech to bring Chalilin except for Kvuras HaMace. So it's very clear and obvious that it is brought for the sake of a mace, and the mace was there b'fanenu. So obviously on Shabbos it was brought for the sake of the mace. That's called muchach milsa. There's a special knas on that. There is b'shvila huvu. So first of all, on this Nakuda that Rashi is most of the Isser Olamis, Rashi extrapolates what we said in the Seifa about Kever and Aaron. With Isser Olamis, Rashi extrapolates that also to apply it to the Chalilin. So Tosa says, Nachash Hevi Chalilin b'Shabbos lo yisped ben Yisrael lo kapir shekuntres kapir Olamis. Bit of parpa gemara gabi asa nachri Aaron v'chafra v'kever yikaver by Yisrael. Amai hachanami nema yamtim b'chdesh yasu. He's referring to the Gemara at the end. You look at the end of the Gemara at the two dots, when it says asa Aaron v'chafra v'kever amai. Why is it asur l'olam? Why should it be asur l'olam? Why don't we say over here it's also asur b'chtei? Hachanami here also it should be b'chtei shiyasu. What's nami? What's the nami? What's the also over here? The only also that there is, says Tosfos, is Chalilin. Going back to the Chalilin. So obviously the Gemara is taking out as a davar pashut that Chalilim are only asur b'chtei shiyasu. So Tosfos holds that this kasha is on Rashi is this kasha of the Gemara is Keneged Rashi. It's a raya Keneged Rashi. Just going to make a calculation for a second here. Okay, we'll talk more about this calculation later on when we speak further in Rashi. So that's Tosfos kasha. The Rishonim all ask the kasha in Rashi that the Rush, the Ramban, and all the other Rishonim ask on Rashi that it only says in the Seifa you cover by Olamis. We have a tremendous chiddush over here, a tremendous new chiddush of this Knas. If the Mishnah meant that there should be a lamis on Chalilim, it should have said it by Chalilim too. You can't just rely on the Seifa. So when it just says Lo Yuspad B'hen Yisrael Im Ken Bo Makom Karov, so the Lo Yuspad B'hen, if the most would be Shiasu, because it did not say Olamis over there. So there's two separate kashas in Rashi. One is from the Lashon of the Mishnah, and one is from the kasha of the Gemara that indicates that Hachanami here also it should be B'chtei Shiasu. That here also must be Chalilin. So the Rishonim are all being cholik on Rashi's extrapolation of the Seifa to the Reisha to say that the Knas, this Knas that there is there, Rashi says it's a Knas, it's a new Knas, and it applies to everything it has to do with the mace, it seems. And so Tosfos goes on to say, "Al-Kenir lo Yuspad B'hen Yisrael Hainu Ad Kedei Sheyavo L'Stam Chalilim Ein Meviyin Osam L'Shem Adam Echad L'Shem Kama B'nei Adam." So here Tosfos is cholik on the other supposition of Rashi that Rashi says, Rashi to strengthen his opinion said his position said the Ein Derech Lahavi Chalilin Ela B'Shvil Mace. It's only being brought for a mace, and Tosfos is saying, so what? But it could be brought for Kama Mason, Kama B'nei Adam. You don't necessarily see mace zeh from the fact that it was brought for mason. So Tosfos is saying that even Lurid Sur you would hold like Rashi that it's totally in Muchach Milsa, and if it is Muchach Milsa for some reason that makes it Asar La'olam, that's a special Knas when it's Muchach Milsa. You don't really have Muchach Milsa over here because L'maisa it is it could be brought for Kama B'nei Adam. It doesn't say anywhere on the Chalilim this is being brought Meyuchad for Shimon the mace, for this particular mace, or this particular hesped. So it sounds like a little bit from Tosfos that Lu Yitzur it really would be totally Muchach Milsa. Then perhaps he would agree with Rashi. It's not so clear from Tosfos, but it seems to be that he might agree with Rashi. That if it really would be totally Muchach Milsa, then we would say Taka, it would be Asar L'Olam, but we never had that kind of situation. It's a Stam situation is not that way. And that's the way Rov Rishonim would go. Rov Rishonim would learn like Tosfos, not like Rashi. They hold that the Isra L'Olam is only on Kever and Aaron. We'll have to see why when we get further on in the Sugya, what's special, Manishtana, Kever, and Aaron from Chalilin, they're all for the sake of a mace. They're all for Hesped or Kavura. Why is it different? But the Maisa, that's the way Rov Rishonim learn, and that's the Psak Shulchan Aruch in Shin Chaf Hey Sif Tes Vav, which we'll look at this coming week, Mr. Hashem. So we have to understand, according to Rashi, what is this for over here? Why is there a special knas over here? Because Muchach Milsa, we've already had a number of times in previous sugyas, like the Mishnah Kuchah Beis Amud Aleph, where we learned before that we had a chiluk where it was nasa la'atzmoi or nasa liYisrael. That was the only chiluk that we saw. Is it for the sake of himself or the sake of Yisrael? And if it's the sake of Yisrael, then we say it's Asar B'chtei Shiasu over there. We had the same brisa that we're going to bring over here about Mechamin Mechamin, about the Merchatz that was Mechamin Mechamin, we had over there as well. And over there, that was the shorish of the din of B'chtei Shiasu. Rashi spoke out that we find this B'chol Makom there and in Beis of Dalet and Beis and other places we find the Isra B'chtei Shiasu. If a goy does a malcha for a yid, it's also B'chtei Shiasu. If this goy drew water from the bore from Rosh Hashanah and brought it out, then for the sake of Yisrael, then we say that it's Taka Asar. Asar but how much is it asar? Or if he was liket asavim for Behemoth Israel, in Israel, and said that it's asar when it's a makiro. Even though he did it for himself, he was mostly for the Israel. The thing you could be mostly, then it's asar if it's makiro. If it's makiro, so then we asar it for a yid on Shabbos and asar abechdeshi yasu on Motzei Shabbos. So l'chora in all those cases, it was muchach milsa that was for the sake of Israel, right? That's the whole point of that over there. You could say no, it's not really muchach. Just the fact that he's makiro, so it's enough to be choshesh that he did it for Israel. Maybe it's not absolutely clear. Maybe it's not mamish muchach that it's for him. Maybe it's possible that it could be for something else. Maybe or we'll take a look. Rashi Be'etzim himself, Rashi and the Baal HaMor really asked this kasha. See Rashi further on in the sugya and Machokas Rav and Shmuel. So when the Mishnah says that the Chalilim are lo yispa ben Yisrael elim ken bo b'makom karav. What's a makom karav? When Machokas Rav and Shmuel, Rav says makom karav means karav mamish. And Shmuel says that even if it's not the way Rashi learns, Shmuel Amar Chashin and Shema Chutz L'Chomalanu means Chashin means over here Lakula. Rashi brings rayas that sometimes Chashin could mean a kula, not a chumrah. So here we're Choshesh Lakula that maybe it could have come from a place which is, even though we don't know, maybe it came from a close place. We don't have to know for sure. So Shmuel is being more makel according to this, the way Rashi learns, and the Gemara brings a raya to Rav, Tan Kavasei to Rav, that if it's a suffix, it's also the way Rashi learns by the Yisrael. If it's mechzal mechza, we say that it's usher. And Rashi learns mechzal mechza is a suffix. We saw this Rashi already in Kuchaf Beis. The Rashi learned the pshat in mechzal mechza is that it's usher is misfeka. So Rashi says Tani Kavasei to Rav sfeka usher. The Tani mechza al mechza yamtin b'chtei sheyichamu chamin. In Tomar, ask Rashi. It's like a little tosus within Rashi. In Tomar is like Rashi. For Rashi, b'chtei sheyichamu chamin meyashari. We see that it is al kopanim with the shear of kadesh yechamu chamin, which is the Rashi already explained to us in Kuchat Beis. This is the source of the din of b'chtei sheyasu. That the case, the amount of b'chtei sheyasu by merchatz is kadesh yechamu chamin. So we see at least then it's mutter. Here it says lo yuspa behen mashma lo'olam. Rashi, like he explained himself in the Mishnah, lo yuspa behen means period, not ad motzei Shabbos, but period. Maybe Rashi learns also of this now. Maybe part of Rashi's hechrach is that lo yuspa behen can't mean until motzei Shabbos, because we never had a minute to use it on Shabbos. By the Perus and everything that were brought, or the Mayim or whatever. So we're talking about there's a dion on Shabbos, there's a dion on Motzei Shabbos. It's also on Shabbos. You could have used it, but we asser it, and then we say till b'chtei sheyasu. The Chalilim, there's no havamina that we're going to use the Chalilim on Shabbos. You're not doing a hesped on Shabbos. So it says lo yispad b'hem. Obviously, it means after Shabbos, and it doesn't say how long. So Rashi says then that mashma la'olam. It didn't say it all until later. Okay, so we spoke it out later at the Seifa, but it's all one din. But lo yispa behem, Rashi says here, mashma la'olam. What's the mashmos la'olam? Because what else are we talking about? We're talking about Motzei Shabbos. Not on Shabbos itself. It can't be lo yispa behem b'Shabbos. We're not doing a hesped on Shabbos. So lo yispa must mean Motzei Shabbos, and then Mamela, if it didn't give a shear of how long, it must mean la'olam. As far as Tosas Kasha from the end of the Gemara, so the Maisa, there's two ways to learn that Gemara. Tosas has the Kasha and Rashi from Amai Hachanami Yamtim B'chtei Sheyasu. Mashma Hachanami means that the Chalilin are Mutter B'chtei Sheyasu. So there's two ways to learn this Gemara. The Ran speaks it out, which is a big machlok Shoshanim. It's going to be a tremendous machlok, which would be big nafkaminas l'halacha. But the question of Amai, when it says Aron Chafra Lekever, what is it going on? Is the Kasha of the Gemara on the Resha or on the Seifa? When it says Amai, the end of the Gemara, is it Amai? Amai is it Amai? Why is it that the Lo Yikaver Bo Olamis? Or is it Amai? Why, if it did it for the sake of why, if it was not for a second. So why? 1 second. Let me catch this out. Either why is it Asr al Olam, or why is it not Asr at least still B'chtei Shiyasu? Just 1 second. Let me just take a look at something. Yeah, it's a Machlokes Hashonim. The Ran speaks it out over here. Dibur Maskal of Garcinon. That when it says Amai, is it going on the Isser Olamis? Why is it Asr Olam? Or is it going on the Resha that it says you cover Bo Miyad? And it's asking, why should it be Miyad? Why shouldn't you have to at least wait B'chtei Shiyasu? So, okay, I'm going to have to think this through again, but maybe we'll get a little further, we'll think it through again. I'm trying to think of how we can answer the Kasha of Tosa and Rashi. But getting back to Rashi himself, where Rashi says, so he asked the Kasha that why, Betzim Rashi is asking what we're asking. Rashi is asking why over here is it different than all the other Isurim of Emir al-Akim that they're only Asra B'chtei Shiyasu. Here it's Asra al-Olam. So Rashi answers, Hacha Mucha Milsa. Here it's Muchach Milsa. Aber b'merchatz lo Mucha Milsa kuli hai hov ikanachrim. By Merchatz, even if it's Rov Yisrael, and we're Machmer and we assume that the Iker is done for the sake of the Yisrael, it's still not Muchach Milsa Mamish that it's for the sake of the Yisrael. We just assume that that's the case. We go after the Rov. But it's not absolutely Muchach that it's going to be for the sake of Yisrael. And therefore Rashi says that's why it is Asr only until B'chtei Shiyasu. And Rashi L'chor is building himself on what he said in the Mishnah, that's goof of the Svar of Rashi, the ain't derech lahavi chalilin ela b'shvil meis. That chalilin, when you bring them, there's no other possibility except for the sake of a mace. And the mace over here is a mace Yisrael. So that makes it muchach that it was for sure for the sake of this hesped for this Yisrael. I was talking to my son about this, Elazar, this morning. He said a very good Svar, but I think that's really what Rashi means, is that by every other Amir al-Akum, so even if let's say he cooks or something for Yisrael or whatever, so the cooking itself, there's nothing muchach within the cooking or within the drawing of the water or within any other malacha we've seen that a goy could do for Yisrael. It's not muchach mitoch the malacha itself that this malacha must be for the sake of Yisrael, for any specific purpose. Even if he's doing it mamish lahedya for the sake of Yisrael, it's not muchach mitoch the ma'isa itself that it's for Yisrael. It might be maybe anybody looking at it, if you can't read the guy's mind, then it's possible he's making it for himself. So we have a halacha, we know that it's usher if it's for the sake of Yisrael, that's before Mishnah. But since it's not totally muchach, mitzad the etzem halacha is for the sake of Yisrael, then it's enough that we're machmir for B'chtei Shiyasu. Mashiach can, Rashi's learning that this is not a special din and mace. It's not a special mitzad, the fact that it's covered mace or anything like that. It's just by a mace, by a kever, or by all these things are a kever or a aron, or Rashi says even by chalilin, since the only reason you bring chalilin or you dig a kever or you make an aron is for the sake of a mace, and the mace that's b'fanenu is a Yisrael, that it becomes muchach mitoch etzem ma'isa. This is for the sake of this Yisrael. That's called muchach mitoko. It's muchach etzem. And therefore we have this special chumrah, the special knas, that we didn't find until now, because we didn't really have a case until now of something that's totally, completely muchach for the sake of Yisrael. We saw the etzem maisa. Tosas seems to be learning that it doesn't really matter, even though it might be for a Yisrael, it could be for Kama B'nei Adam. There could be, even though it's not the derech of Goyim, like the Rishonim say, the derech of Goyim is not to do haspedim with Chalilin, but still, if it's not muchach that it's muchach for this particular mace, because there could be others, so then sometimes you bring Chalilin, you bring it for whoever needs it. So Tosas holds, it's really a machlokas between Rashi and Tosas, it looks like, of whether or not it really is muchach. It's really a side machlokas. It's more a technical machlokas. Is it called muchach or not? As Mashma and Tosas would agree with Rashi, Liritzer really would be muchach, then he would agree that there's such a kanas. Just like we find that there's a kanas by Shratia, by Aaron Bekever. So that'll be the pshat in Rashi, that there's a higher and newer level over here of muchach milsa than there ever was before. Okay. We'll see as we go along. I mean, I want to be makdim the muchar. The sugya is sort of like the order of the sugya is a little bit out of order, because the pshat in this part of the sugya really depends on the end of the sugya. Like just looking back again at the Gemara at the end that Tosas cited, Amai halchanami yamtim b'kteshiyasu amrula ba'omed b'asratya. Here it's talking about it was sitting in b'asratya. So the Rif and the Rambam learn that Omed Basratya, this is what Rav Rishonim seem to be learning, is, and this will be Docha, the Sora of Rashi. Rashi learns that what's Muchad over here is that it's Muchach Milsa. They say no, Asratya means that it's a Makam Farhesia. It's sitting in the street of the city, and everyone knows about it. And the whole world knows that it's being done for the sake of Yisrael. So the Indian over here is not that it's Muchach, but the Indian is that it's Farhesia. But within that, we have, after we say Farhesia, now that's going to be split off into two different shitas. The shita, the Balamor, and some other Rishonim, the Balamor over here learns that since it's Farhesia, it's not Kavod HaMeis to be Nikvar in a kever that's Mefursam, but Farhesia, it was done for him on Shabbos. So according to the Balamor, it's a special din in Kavod HaMeis. It's something that we're not going to find anyplace else. It's not going to apply to anywhere else. It's only a special din in Kavod HaMeis, and that's why we'll be machmor over here. It's not a knas like Rashi says within the dinim of Amir al-Akum. Right? Rashi learns that within dinim Amir al-Akum we have a new level of chumrah, that it's muchach mamish, totally muchach, without any other way to look at it, that this is done for Yisrael, then there's a special knas on that. It becomes asal olam. According to the Balamor, that the chumrah of the Gemara is basratya, is that it's a public place, everyone knows about it. That's not kavod hameis, which is a special din over here, will not apply to any place else. The Rambam also learns like the Balamor, that it is, and like the Rif, that it's a din of Farhesia. That's what the Gemara is saying at the end. That the special chumrah over here, to answer this kasha, why is it minashtana, this din from any other Amir al-Akum, that here we find a special din that's asal olam. The Rambam also learns Farhesia. Just the difference is that the Rambam, we see in Perek Vav Halacha Hey, Rambam says, Meisha asal lo goyim aron v'chafur lo kever b'Shabbos, or heviu lo chalilin lispo behen. So the Rambam, like Rashi, does add chalilin into the mix. Right? It doesn't separate them like Tosas does. So the Rambam says the following: Im b'tzina yamtim b'fteish yasu. If it was done b'tzina, then it goes back to the regular dinim of Amir al-Akum. There's asher b'fteish yasu, the motzei Shabbos. You cover it, then you can be covering. You haya kever b'srati agdola, aron al gabav. The kever was in a very public place, and the aron was made right there next to it. Everyone walks by, and it says, they ask the guy, who are you making this for Yankel the Yid. Everybody knows it's being for Yankel. Harizalei Karabo Osi Yisrael Alamis. That Yisrael, not everybody else, but that Yisrael can't be Karabo Alamis Nishu before Hesia, because it was done for him before Hesia. And a now he ends off Mutter look for Yisrael Acher Hush Yamtim for Yisrael Acher that there's no extra chumrah over here for Hesia. Then for him it goes back to the regular din of B'Kdesh Yasu. It's done for the sake of Yisrael. It's also for all Yisrael until B'Kdesh Yasu. There's no special chumrah on him. There's no farhesia on him that was done for him. So you could have learned the Rambam that he's saying a special din also by kavod hameis, like the Baal HaMor said. It would be all one shita. However, if you look back in Halacha Beis, in Perek Vav Halacha Beis, the Rambam says, Goy she'asa malacha me'atzma b'Shabbos, im b'shvil Yisrael asa lehenos ba'asa malacha ab motzei Shabbos, yamtim b'chdesh shitase. If it was done for the sake of Yisrael, it's asur until b'chdesh yaseh. V'hu, says Rambam, shelo yehei adavar b'farhesia, ad sheyedu bo rabim, shedavar zeh b'shel ploni hu nasa b'Shabbos. This heter, b'chdesh yaseh, we'll call it, we usually look at it as a chumrah. In this case, it's a kula. The Rambam is saying the day b'chdesh yasu is we only matter that we say this kula that's mutter on Motzei Shabbos b'chdesh yasu only when it was not done before Hesia. It's not before it was for the sake of this Yisrael. But you see clearly from the Rambam, if it would be meforsam, it would be for Hesia. It would be also for this Yisrael la'olam. And the Maggid Mishnah says that the source of this Rambam is our din of kever. So a tremendous chiddush from the Rambam. The Rambam did not leave this as a special chiddush l'gabei kever, but he's extrapolating to all of Amir La'akum, and he's saying that kever is no different than anything else, that any malacha that's done that's befursan and farhesia for sake of a particular Yisrael, then we have this chumrah that is asur l'olam. So it comes out that there are really three shitas going on over here. Three major shitas in the Rishonim. We'll say Rashi and those that go with him is that there's a special chumrah over here of all these kever, etc., kever and everything that since they're only done for the sake of a mace, so it becomes then clear that it's beyond the shadow of a doubt that it's done for the sake of a Yisrael. So then we have a knas that it's asur l'olam. That's a special kanas, and according to Rashi, Luyit Sur Lachora, we would find another case of Rashi doesn't need farhesia for this. Doesn't say a word about farhesia. He doesn't. He learns the Gemara at the end of Sratia. Rashi learns the opposite. Rashi learns that the Gemara there is not explaining why the Israel Olam. A Sratia is explaining why it's mutar miyad. For the sake of a goy, we're not worried if it was done for the sake of a goy. And Asratia means it was done in a makom goyim. It was clearly done for the sake of the goy, and the aron was also done on that kever in the place of in the thoroughfare of goyim, that they can safely assume that it was all done for the sake of a goy. That's why it's mutar miyad. So Rashi learns that the whole shakla attire at the end is going on why it's mutar miyad, not on why it's asur l'olam. Because Asratia in Pirsum has nothing to do with there's according to Rashi, that Gemara that's going to explain why it's mutar miyad, there is no source at all from that Gemara to tell anything about B'farhesia. Mashenkin, according to the Rambam that learns the Rambam and those that learn the Baal HaMor that Gemara, the Shachal V'Tarya is why is it asur l'olam, not why is it mutar miyad, but why is it asur l'olam? It's going on the Sefer, not on the Reisha, like that Shachal V'Tarya. So then we have a source of the din of Farhesia. The new din of Farhesia, and Asratia means Farhesia, the opposite of the way Rashi learned. And so once we have a source of Farhesia, so now we have two shitas. We have the shita of the Baal HaMor, that the Farhesia is a special knas, and the gabe kavod hameis, special chumrah and kavod hameis, and therefore these dinim are specific only to dinei kvura, this Israel Olam. And according to the Rambam, it's a general halacha that applies to everything in Imir al-Akum whenever there's a farhesia that is done for this Jew. Then it's always going to be asur l'olam. So it's three shita, either buchach milsa or farhesia, and farhesia within farhesia is either because of mace or it's a general din. So those are the three major shitas over here in the Rishonim of how to learn this sugya. Um, okay. Taking a look at the next Tosas, I want to say a few more hours on the sugya here. Tosas El Imken Bo Makom Karov, that the Mishnah says that you can't be maspid Israel unless you can't be maspid. We're talking about Motzei Shabbos unless it came from a Makom Karov, which that would, if it came from Makom Karov, then there's not going to be a need to wait for a long time Motzei Shabbos to use it. And the Dimbech Shiyasu. Faktosis Tema the Rebbe Ma Mahani Shabo in Makom Karov. What does it help that it came from Makom Karov? It was brought through a Rishus Rabin. It was brought through an Issa Deraisa. So these Chalilim arrived here through, it was brought to you by the Goyim, even if it's Makom Karov. It was brought even within the city. In the city, there's Rishus Rabin. And in the Mishnah, you can't say it's talking specifically where there is no Rishus Rabin. That wouldn't fit, according to the way Tos is learning. Mali Oren v'Kever Shenasa b'Shabbos Mali Chalilin Shehuva Derech Rishus Rabin. What difference? What's the chiluk between the two? If they're both were done through an Issa Deraisa, the kever and the chafira, the kever and the aron were all made on Shabbos. That's an Issa Deraisa, and taking it through a Rishus Rabin is an Issa Deraisa. So if the aron and kever are asur l'olam, so then why shouldn't this be asur l'olam? Okay, there's a lot to talk about in Tosas Kasha over here. The Tosas is not assuming anything about farhesia or anything special. Anything miyuchad about Macy. Tosas is strictly looking at it. We saw that Issa Deraisa was done, and for whatever reason, the word b'machmer l'olam, it should apply also to Havav Rishus Rabin. So Tosas answers something which l'chora is tzarach iyun. The kasha is tzarach iyun, but also the answer is tzarach iyun. Tosas answers to hevi b'makom karov lo mahani kol kach hava asay. It was brought from Makom Karov, then it didn't help so much that it was brought. What he brought is not so lo mahani kokach, meaning there's not so much hana from that. The horror means to say that in the Tosas Rush speaks us out Lahedya that the teretz is going with the kasha. He's not changing the havamina and the kasha and saying no. It's talking about cases where it wasn't Rishus Rabin. Tosas Rush says clearly the Tosas answer is even though Taka is coming through Rishus Rabin, so a Malacha Deraisa was done to bring it to you. Even so, it's mutter. We're not asking to use it, or it sounds like there's not even a din b'chtei shiyasu on it, because lo mehani kokach hava aso. What does that mean? Who cares how much it helped you if sof kol sof Issa Deraisa was done? So the chorah, the pshat and Tosas, is at first glance would seem to be that Tosas is built on the svara of Rabbeinu Tam that we saw before in Kuchaf Beis. We had Shitz Rabbeinu Tam and Tosas over there, who held that the Isser of water that's brought from Rishus Rabin to Rishus Rabin, it was Huva B'Shul Yisrael. Rabbeinu Tam said it's tremendous chiddush that that's only for the behemoth of the Yisrael is it usher, but for the Yisrael himself it's mutter because he was able to go down into the bore himself and drink. He would have been able to go down and drink. So therefore, the Maisa of the Goy didn't help so much. Was the Lamahani Kokach. So you see that you need that it's Mahanya. You see that in order to be usher. Now, what was this for a bit of time? We explained then that since the Yisod of Amir Akum is that you're going to come to ask the Goy to do it again, if you got so much enough from what he did, then that'll push you to keep on asking him to do more and more things in Shabbos. So the Rebbeinu Tam holds that if there's a way for you to do it yourself, or you're not nene so much from what he did, then that's not such a then you don't have enough of a reason really to keep on asking the Goy to do more malacha. That was the svara of Rebbeinu Tam. So based on that svara, then Tosas' answer of the Chorah makes some sense. That hava mimakom karov lamahani kol ka'avaso. He didn't get so much enough from the fact that he bought it. You could have gone there yourself and gotten it after Shabbos right away. And since it's close, it's not such a big deal that he bought it for you. If you remember, we had a whole raid in the Band of Tom, a whole Shaila, in the Magen Avram. We spoke about that. He brought down a Oil Shabbos that held that according to Band of Tom, even if the goy brought it from a bore from a Shishayachin to Shisarabin and brought it to you, if you have other water sources in your rishus, then it's also going to be mutter because lo ma'anik ogach chavaso because you could have drank somewhere else. He said you had a nahar, that goes through your property or within your tchum or whatever. Then it didn't help so much to bring it to you. Then it's also mutter. Magen Avraham disagreed with him over there. He said you have to look at the malacha itself. You're going to say that if you lit a candle in one room that was dark, you could be nana from it because you had a candle lit in another room. You could have gone and read over there. We don't look at what your hana. We look at if you're nana from this ma'isa itself, if there's hana from it or not. And so therefore, it's not going to help that you have another source. So we had, and Magen Avraham disagreed. We had a back and forth about that last time. But the ma'isa, there have been times. So it is that from this ma'isa itself, you have to really be nana. So in this case over here, we're talking about the ma'isa itself. If you brought it makom karov, you could have gone yourself to the place that's close by on Shabbos and gotten it. So Esher, that's pshat and tosus that it is not hanakol kach and it'll be mutter according to this for Rabbeinu Tam. The problem with that pshat is obviously that the stam tosus, the ri, and kimat ruba of all the rishonim all recholik on Rabbeinu Tam, and the hell that didn't matter as long as the malacha d'oraisa is done in it, then it's still usher. So we had two sforas. Either it's a sfora of an isser hana, like Rashi, which we saw that can't really be because Tosos doesn't go with that in the ri and Beitza. So we said another sfora that it's like a low plug, because generally speaking, if malacha d'oraisa is done, that's a good enough reason for you to ask the goy to do it again. Then that should be usher. Then there's a low plug by any time there's an isser d'oraisa that's done, we are machmir. So it's a little bit of a pella that Tosos over here would be sosim like Rabbeinu Tam against the ri over there. But I don't know, it's hard to really know. I mean, I was thinking of different possibilities. Maybe it's a special. He only means the guy with the knas over here of the special knas of Chalilin, like Gabi Mace, and that svora that it's not so muchach milsav, it's makom karov. But it's not so mashma that way from Tosos, and also Tosos himself right before said that Chalilim are not subject to that knas. It's only kever, and he disagreed with Rashi, and it's only kever and on Aaron. This Tosos is talking about Chalilin that came in Makom Karov. So can't really be talking about the knas of Rashi. Tosos holds that doesn't apply to the Chalilin. So it must be so. The only way I can understand Tosos is with the Sfor Rabbeinu Tam, which would just remain with the kasha that Tosos will have chosen over here, like Rabbeinu Tam, over the ri over there. So the only thing I can think of saying. Okay. So another point, just to go a little bit into the actual machlokas Rav and Shmuel over here. To understand that the machlokas Rav and Shmuel. So Rashi learns that when it says if it came in makom karov, then it's okay. The Rav says makom karov is makom karov mamish. And Shmuel says chayshin and shema chutz l'chum lanu, which Rashi learns chayshin means, like we said before, it means chayshin and lakula. Even if you don't know for sure that it came from makom karov, then it's still mutter. And then we brought a raya, at least according to this girsa, where Goris, the next words of the Gemara, that Dika Misnisin Kavasi de Shmuel bring a raya to the Mishnah like Shmuel. What is that raya? That the raya is going to be from Rabbi Yehuda in the Seifa of this brisa. That we say that if you have a Iris Yisrael v'Nachrim Darimba and you have a Mirchatz in it, so Rov Nachrim, you can use it miyad. Rov Yisrael, you have to wait. Wait If it's mechsa, then it's also usher. It's usher misafik. It's usher misafik, which will be like Rav, not like Shmuel. So then we have to say Tanya Kavase to Shmuel is going to be from Rabbi Yehuda, who says if there's a rishus means there's a ruler who has a lot of people to come with him, and he's very important. So then we can assume that it was done for his sake, and we don't have to be machmer and say it was for the meksa al meksa. But if Mistama he's machriya, we assume that it was for him. So we see that we have a suffix. When a suffix over here, we're being makel, which that'll be the raya to Shmuel, which is sort of a strange raya, right? We have a main brisa, we have a tanakama, and then you have one shita, Rabbi Yehuda, about a rashus, and that'll be the raya to Shmuel to be able to say what he wants to say. So why don't we bring a raya to Rav from the Resha? But that's the way Rashi learned this brisa. But then there's a second gersa over here, which is we're not goris that whole thing, and we bring a we bring a raya instead. We're bringing a raya to Rav. Tanya Kavase to Shmuel, and not. Yeah, I'm sorry. What I just told you now is the second part of Rashi. Rashi first learned it was Tanya Kavase to Rav. Rashi was changed the girsa Tanya Kavase to Rav, and the raya was from the Resha. I'm sorry, the other way around. Later on, the second girsa of Rashi is what I just said. The first girsa is that it's a raya to Rav. So the yisod that Rashi says, this misfeka aser, this yisod, why does Rav say you need to know for sure it's makom kara? Because a suffix is aser. So we bring a raya, the suffix is aser from the din of mechza al mechza. If it's half and half, then that's called a suffix. In Rashi and Kufchaf Beis on this brisa learned the same way as well. Rashi back there said the same yisod. He learned that mechza al mechza means it's a suffix, and it's suffix aser, and Rashi in the very top of Kufchaf Beis back in the previous sugya, when you had a party that they lit a fire, and it goes also same yisod, Rov Yisrael, Rov Akom, Mechza Mechza. Mechza Mechza is aser, and Rashi says a daited ruba hilkach Yisrael ikr. If it's Rov Yisrael, and then we go a daited ruba. Says Rashi, Mechza Mechza nami lika lemekam al melsa. By half and half, we don't know really who it's for. Yekalamemer ikr daited demalik Yisrael. So we're machmir, because it's possible that your das is for the Israel when it's mechza on mechza. So you don't know which way, so therefore we be machmer, and that's like Rav. So Rashi in that mahalach is learning that mechza on mechza is a suffix. It's just very interesting though that in the end, in the second girsa, when it's Tanya Kavase to Shmuel, and we're bringing a raya to Shmuel from Rabbi Yehuda, so Rashi there says, to Ramaskal Rochetzba, he says, Maisi Siata L'Shmuel, Mid Rabbi Yehuda, to Tolina Lakula. So we bring a raya to Shmuel from Yehuda that we're allowed to rely on the fact that there's a rishus, there's an important person, then it can be makel. So what about the Resha though? Why isn't it a raya against Shmuel from the Resha? That we see that a suffix is aser. So here Rashi says in this gear, so you have to say, Kevin and Mechza Mechza, Avada B'Shul Yisrael v'Nachri Hukmu. Shaylo la'adam echad levada hukmu. The name is Sfekel l'Nachri Safek Yisrael. When Rashi says that when there's Mechza Mechza, Rashi says a new yisod. That when you have Mechza Mechza, then we say, since you don't heat up a merchatz for one particular person, you light a merchatz for people. And if it's Mechza Mechza, then we assume that it was done for both of them equally. If it's done for both of them equally, then it's taka aser. And that's why we don't have a raya against Shmuel. Shmuel is talking about a case of suffix. What's the din by suffix? So Rabbi Yehuda in the Seifa, Taka has a case of suffix. We don't really know. Did he do it for the? Did they heat up the merchatz for the regular people or for the sake of the ruler? This important person. So Shmuel says we're allowed to be mekel and a makom suffix. Masha'enken, where there's no ruler over there, and it's just regular case of mechza by people, then fakir, then the stam das is for both. So it comes out according to Rashi. This girsa is not just another girsa of who the kasha is on Shmuel or on Rav, but it's a whole another mahalach in how we look at mechza. Until now, Rashi said mechza is a suffix. We're not sure who it's for, and Rav was machmir mechza, and Shmuel was mekel mechza. And the case of the Ambatya is exactly the case of Rav and Shmuel. Now Rashi's saying is being in this according to this girsa, it's a completely different lumdus. The first lumdus we said what we just said now that is considered a suffix that is in line with Rashi and Kuchlaf Beis. Rashi said it there a few times. Mechza is a suffix. It's for machmer in the suffix, which would be the chor like Rav. But now they're bringing a riot to Shmuel. Tiny Kavasa to Shmuel. The only way we could possibly bring a riot to Shmuel from the Seifa is if there's no kasha from the Resha. The only reason the Resha couldn't be a kasha is it must be not a case of a suffix. How can it not be a suffix? Because we machriya and we say that when it's done for mechza, it's done for both. So this will then tell us a new halacha. We spoke about this in one of the previous shirim, but we see a riot from this Rashi then that the mechza is taka aser. There's no halakas about that. Mechza will be aser. If a goy does a malacha for the sake of a Jew and a goy, if he has, that's really his kavanah. It's kavanah for both of them. Then it's taka aser. But it's not aser midin suffik. It's aser midin vadai, according to this. So it's just, and Rashi on this lashon says the lashon zeh near the ikar, and this is the ikar girsa, and this is the ikar lashon. So the Hora comes out then, if this Rashi's machri over here, this is the ikar, comes out to be a steer in Rashi between Rashi here and Rashi Kuchlaf Beis. Rashi Kuchlaf Beis took on as a davar pashut that mechza is a suffix. Now he's taking on that it's a vadai, and it's aser midin vadai. We saw nafkaminas before, and we spoke out nafkaminas, and the guy that did b'chtei shiyasu on this. We saw the Magen Avram that brought down the smog, and that held that it was in vada, and therefore, in a case of meksa is aser b'chtei shiyasu, and if you hold this midin suffix, then it won't be aser b'chtei shiyasu. So in these two lashonos, we have a steer now in Rashi which way you're going to hold in the din b'chtei shiyasu. The Rif and the Rambam also, the Rif and the Rambam learn Shmuel that not, the opposite of Rashi. That's the Rashi in the first lashon said chayshinan means chayshinan lakula. Now the way we're learning chayshinan is going to be l'chomra. In this other girsa, where Choshes Shmuel is not coming to be mekel on Rav, he's coming to be machmer on Rav. According to the way Rashi learned it till now, Rav says you have to know it's makom karav, and Shmuel says no, you don't need to know that. So it's a kula on Rav. According to the way Rav was learning now, and this is the way the Rif and the Rambam learn, then Shmuel, when he says chayshinan, he's being machmer on Rav. Rav says if this comes to makom karav, then it's okay. If we see that it came in the morning from a close place, then we assume that it started in a close place and it's okay. The Rif and the Rambam say no, that even if it came in makom karov, we're still concerned, if we don't know for sure otherwise, that he traveled all night and he only got to this makom karov like right outside he went to sleep outside the choma of the city, and then it came in a close place inside the tchum. He got there because he traveled all Shabbos. So Shmuel is saying Chayshina means l'chumra, not l'kula. So the Balamor brings Rayas to learn like Rashi, that Chayshina, he says the same Rayas. He goes with Rashi and says that Chayshina over here means l'kula, but the Ramban and Machamas brings many Rayas for the Rif, as do the Ran and other Rishonim, that we find by all these dinim. Let's say the Ramban brings an example from Mitzudas Chayav Oath. If you, let's say on Yom Tov, you go and you leave your traps out before Yom Tov, and then you go on Yom Tov morning, you find that there's a kosher animal that got trapped by your traps. So now, can you take it and shech on Yom Tov or not? Was it trapped? If it was trapped Erev Shabbos, it's fine, Erev Yom Tov. But if it's trapped on Yom Tov, then it's aser because it was not muchan. So there, the halacha is that it's aser, unless you know that it was nitzodim ba'od yom. It's a forced gemara and beitza. So these things are to be aser. They'll be aser even not only on Yom Tov itself, but they're aser until b'chtei shiyasa that you can trap it on Motzei Yom Tov. Why? It's a suffix. If you learn that Shmuel says chayshinan the suffix, we're choshesh chayshinan l'kula when there's a suffix. Then we're choshesh l'kula. We can assume that it was that if you have a suffix, you assume it's okay. It's got to be these dinim, these dinim of preparation. Then why are we machmer by these mitzudas, by the traps? And also the Ran brings a raya from another Gemara in Beitza that we saw the sugi in Beitza that if yesh b'minim mechuber, a goy brings you a doron, brings you peris from outside the tchum. If it's peris, things that are mechuber like apples and things might be mechuber. So then we have to be choshesh that he plucked it off the tree on Yom Tov. Why? Maybe he did it Erev Yom Tov. Why should we be machmer like that? Why don't we assume the kula? Why not l'chumra? Why are we assuming l'chumra? We see the gabi these dinim. We don't treat them like a regular suffix d'Rabbanan. Rather, we always are machmer. We're choshesh l'chumra. So they learn it. So the Ramban and the Ran, they want to learn Shmuel. That's a riot to the Rif that Shmuel, when he says chayshinan, it doesn't mean chayshinan l'kula like Rashi says a chiddush. Chayshinan means chayshinan l'chumra. We're always choshesh l'chumra. Okay, that's just for some auras in the sugya. Seems like a sort of little innocuous sugya, but there's a lot here. So, Mitzvah Hashem, next week we'll see the tour and the Shulchan Aruch, Beis Yosef, and everything on this, and a few more things. I'll give Maram comments for that, and we'll finish off this and then go to the next area. Have a good Shabbos.
Thank you.
Good Shabbos.